about to hear the most epic sales phone call you've ever heard in your entire life. You're about to hear a sales agent get 4, not just 1, 4, back to back to back to back objections right in a row. See, in order to be a sales rock star, you have to be prepared for any type of resistance at any point during the phone call. How prepared you are determines what level of salesperson you are. See, unfortunately, the call that we're about to listen to, the sales agent was a lounge act. The salesperson didn't take the time to really study and practice and learn the objections, learn the resistance, learn how to respond to the stall, learn how to respond to the stall behind the stall. I've done a lot of videos on stalls and resistance and how to go ahead and respond back to those stalls. And getting to know those stalls and getting to know how to respond to those stalls is critical to your overall sales success. So let's listen right now to this phone call, because unfortunately the sales agent is not prepared for these and unfortunately gets very, very frustrated. You can hear some deer in the headlight moments, and eventually, unfortunately, the sales agent gets so frustrated that he says something that really changes the entire phone call and gets this prospect so upset at him, which she has every right to be based on what he said. Let's jump in this phone call right now and let's just start listening to it.
Thank you. Hello, Susan?
Yes.
Hi, Susan. My name is Scott. I'm a licensed Medicare Medigap specialist here to help you out with your transition into Medicare. I'm basically here for you to help explain to you exactly how Medicare works, what it covers, what it doesn't cover, go over your additional coverage options, and then from there we can process your application right over the phone. That way you don't have to worry about this anymore and you get this out of your way. Susan, let me confirm a couple things with you first.
I'm not sure that I want to do this over the phone.
Boom! First objection comes right out of the gate. I'm not sure if I want to do business over the phone. This is a common thing that you might get on sales phone calls. You have to be prepared for this type of objection and be ready and prepared to give your response back to that. So Susan just said, I'm not sure if I want to do business over the phone. So here's how the sales agent should have handled it. The sales agent should have said, I hear you, Susan. Many people don't realize that the Cuban Missile Crisis was actually resolved with just one phone call. I'm not sure if you should do business over the phone yet. Let me ask you a question. See what that would have done? That would have changed the conversation. That a little bit of humor and going right into asking the discovery questions would have been so critical to this phone call and could have changed the entire outcome of this phone call. Now, what about if Susan came back and said, hey, I really don't do business over the phone. I only do business in person. How could this sales agent have addressed the stall behind the stall? See, the sales agent could have said, I hear you, Susan. There's a big problem with those that don't do business over the phone. They don't get me. If you'd be so kind to give me an opportunity, you won't regret it. Let me ask you a question. See, not only should you be prepared for the stall, but you should be prepared for the stall behind the stall. So let's listen right now to see how this sales agent responds to Susan.
Okay, do you have a local agent or anybody working with to be able to get this done?
No. Can you send me something in the mail?
Can you send me something in the mail? Because the first stall was not handled properly. The first objection was not handled properly. Now, Susan throws out the second stall. Can you please send me something in the mail? So let's discuss right now how the sales agent should have handled it. See, the sales agent could have said this, I have no problem doing that, Susan, but what you don't need is just more information. You need what's best for you. Let me ask you a question. See, that could have changed that entire objection right there and kept the conversation moving forward. But remember, you have to be prepared for the stall behind the stall. So what about if Susan came back and said, hey, I just want you to send me something in the mail? What could the sales agent have now said to try to get into an emotional relationship with Susan? This is what he could have said. I hear you, Susan. Let me ask you this, because from my experience, Medicare is not a one-size-fits-all. What's your biggest concern about Medicare right now? See, an open-ended question that now gets Susan talking, gets a conversation moving forward. But unfortunately, the sales agent does not do that. So let's listen to this, which now turns into a third objection that's right around the corner.
We could, but we don't, and this is why. You are in your open enrollment, Susan, where you're getting inundated with phone calls and mail, where your mailbox is probably going to be stuffed on a daily basis, and then we're going to end up getting back on the phone anyway, so we'd rather, we help declutter all that.
I'm not really comfortable doing this because I don't know that this is a legitimate phone call.
Boom. We got a third objection that comes out. There's a trust issue now. I'm not sure if I want to do this. I'm not quite sure. I think this might be a scam. So how could this sales agent have now handled this third objection? The sales agent could have come back and said this. I hear you, Susan. I have a client named Ethel Morris that said the exact same thing. They were kind enough to give me a couple minutes of their time, and they changed their mind. Let me ask you a question. Boom. Now you've gone ahead and you've tapped into the emotional side of this objection. And this should help move the conversation forward. But unfortunately, the sales agent doesn't do that. And now it turns into a fourth objection.
Okay. We're Medicare Medigap. We're nation's leading provider of all aspects of Medicare enrollment, including getting you enrolled into Medicare if you need that, helping provide Medicare supplements as well. We have access to all the carriers out there.
Well, why wouldn't I just go to the Social Security office?
Why wouldn't I go to the Social Security office? Okay, here's another common objection that you can get over the phone in Medicare sales. So being prepared for this is so crucial when you're talking to your prospect over the phone. So here's how this sales agent could have answered this fourth objection. So now the sales agent, because they haven't addressed the first one, they haven't addressed the second one properly, they haven't addressed the third one properly, this person is actually still on the phone with them right now, which is absolutely amazing. Now this fourth objection comes out. So here's how the sales agent could have answered that question. She just asked, why wouldn't I just go to Social Security? The sales agent could have said, hey, that's a great question, Susan. The problem with calling Social Security or even Medicare is that you won't get me on the phone. If you would be kind enough to give me a couple minutes of your time, you're going to realize that you would actually rather deal with me. Let me ask you a question. See, boom, you're starting to try to create a relationship with Susan. You're trying to move that forward so that she sees that, wait a minute, I'm not talking to a lounge act right now. I'm actually talking to an absolute sales rock star. But unfortunately, this sales agent does not handle this objection properly. And all of a sudden now the sales agent doesn't know what to do and accidentally gets very adversarial with Susan, and Susan gets really, really upset. So pay attention, because this sales agent makes a big, big mistake.
To them, you'd be able to sign up for your Medicare, but we help save that trip down there and all the aggravation of waiting in line and everything. But as far as getting a supplemental policy, you have to go through a licensed agent, like myself or somebody else who's a licensed agent.
Okay, so this is supplemental insurance?
Yes, regarding all aspects of Medicare, transition into Medicare, Medicare supplements, Part D, everything.
No, I'm not interested in any supplemental insurance.
Okay, why did you take the call then?
I beg your pardon?
Why did you
called me?
Why did you field the call then? I don't understand why you fielded the call.
Well, because I can't understand what the other guys have to say, and for one reason.
Okay.
Don't get ugly with me. Just take me off the list.
Susan, I wasn't trying to get ugly with you. Do you have group insurance in place to go along with your Medicare?
Yeah, you are being ugly, and I hope this phone call is being recorded.
Okay, it is. You have a good day. We'll take you off.
Don't get ugly with me and ask me why I took the call.
Okay, it was just a simple question, Susan. That's all. Do you have group coverage through your own? Are you going to be able to keep that past April? Hello? Susan?
Click. This prospect had enough. This prospect realized that they were talking to a lounge act. See, if you're not prepared for the prospect, they're not going to be prepared for you. See, I truly believe that this phone call with Susan was actually a deal. If Susan had talked to a sales rock star who actually cared about her and didn't treat it like a transaction and was prepared for these objections and was prepared to answer not only the objection but the stall behind the stall, this sales agent probably would have walked away with not only a sale, but would have walked away with a relationship with Susan. You have to be prepared for even the hardest prospects. The most difficult prospects are actually the ones that elevate you, that make you an absolute sales rock star. So now that you've listened to this phone call, you've heard 4 back-to-back-to-back-to-back stalls that probably weren't necessary had this sales agent taken care of the first stall, the first objection properly. I'm going to recommend that you look at some of the videos that I've shot on these particular objections so that you can be prepared when they come your way, because guess what? They're going to come your way. You're going to get a Susan on the phone that's going to throw out some of these objections, some of these stalls, and if you're prepared for them, guess what? Susan is going to be prepared for you. And you're going to find yourself not only walking away with a sale, but you're going to find yourself walking away helping someone that nobody else could have helped because you were prepared for that person. So go out there today, listen to these stalls, listen to these objections that I've recorded, go ahead and get familiar with them, memorize them, practice them, so that when Susan comes your way, you're prepared. Go out there today and change somebody's life and be an absolute sales rock star.